Good evening, ghouls and ghoulettes. We hope this episode finds you doing well. Please like and follow us on Facebook and TikTok at Cheese for Thought Podcast and email us your case recommendations to contact us at cheeseforthoughtpodcast.com. We're so happy you're here. This is Maggie.
Drew.
And Ariel.
And you're listening to Cheese for Thought. Ghoulies, it's Maggie again. We finally made it to the final part of the Chicago Tylenol murders. Thank you so much for being here and listening to me. What drew me to this case was that it has to do with a medication that I see at work on a daily basis, and the fact that I've never heard about it made me even more curious. I'm a girl who loves science and who's also going to school to be a pharmacist, so of course this one drew me in right off the bat. When we ended last week, the fingerprints that were found on the game hoist pulley and the letter written to Johnson & Johnson were a match to James Lewis. Now, unfortunately, when Chicago PD resubmitted the case of Raymond West's murder, it was dismissed because the hoist pulley went missing from evidence.
I don't understand how a hoist pulley just goes missing from evidence.
Yes, so maybe Drew's government theory isn't so far-fetched.
Yeah, I have a huge government theory that I have a hunch. I don't know. It's just what I think.
That's what you said at the end of last episode.
Yeah, I think
You're like, maybe it's the government. And I was
think
like,
the government's
yeah,
in on
okay.
it. Like, we'll get into it later, but I really do. It's just like it doesn't add up. Like, everything's going missing. They can't find the guy, but they know where the guy's at, but they can't pinpoint to where he's at. And they're just, it didn't read him his Miranda rights, so we're just gonna let him go, even though we have all the things tied to him that he committed this murder. But I'm pretty sure they can okay, well, they didn't read your Miranda rights, but you still did it though. So
I know.
I don't know.
Something's fishy, guys.
Yeah.
But let's dive into how Lewis was finally found from hiding and some other potentially important information related to this case and other wrongdoings of Lewis's before we dive into our thoughts, opinions, and conspiracy theories. An FBI behavioral profile made an hypothesis that the Tylenol killer would want to stay ahead of this case by reading local papers. And if the killer didn't live in the area where the murders occurred, there's only one place for them to do so: the public library. So the Tylenol task force sent wanted posters with Lewis's face on them to libraries across the country. And finally, on December 13th, about 2.5 months after the poisonings, employees from the New York Public Library spotted James hunched over in a study reading newspapers and called it in.
Of course. Wait, he was at the library?
Yep. So,
of course he's at the library.
And the people working that day saw him sitting in a study, and they're like, hey, that's the face on that poster right across the room in the library.
He just walked by the poster and was like, nah, that's not me.
Don't be suspicious.
Yeah,
don't be suspicious.
Nah, that dude looks totally different than me. That's not me. I'm just going to go over there and plot how to, take over Tylenol again.
Oh, man.
I'm honestly surprised that he showed himself that quickly in public, too.
Yeah.
Knowing that people would probably be onto him or something.
Just like the last case, people were spotting him out in public.
Yeah.
Okay, you're wanted. You probably shouldn't go outside, dude.
Especially for that long. Like, sitting in, a public library, okay, it's fine.
I can't believe he's in the library, too. Like, it's just, in one of the studies, it's just like, fuck Tylenol. Fucking Tylenol. Hey, do you have any books on how to get back at Tylenol?
Oh, boy. You have a very visual imagination. So when the detective came to the library, James's back was facing them. And when the detective walked up to James and tapped him on the shoulder, James rose to his feet and calmly put on his glasses before he was placed under arrest.
It's like he almost was like...
And that's the thing, too. So I read that him and Leanne went to the Macy's Thanksgiving parade. And during that time, there was 400 plus police officers looking for them. They were at that parade, too, on the lookout for them. And they said that they did not hide at all. They went about their normal lives, but
That's
they were never
crazy.
caught.
Like they didn't care,
No.
or they just thought they like. I guess maybe that they were.
So it's
that
like, how wasn't he
narcissistic.
caught sooner? Is my question.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you're like, if okay, they're coming after you're wanted, and like you're going to places that have 400 cops plus at a parade. I mean, granted, a parade's a pretty big thing, so it's not like they're just pinpointing people. But I guess if you're wanted, like you think in the back of the mind of police
Or
officers,
somebody would be like,
Yeah,
hey, over
yeah.
here he is. You know, you've been looking how long for this guy.
Yeah.
Here
That's
he
what I mean.
is.
The government, the
But-
FDA or something.
But
isn't
even
on it.
still, like, I don't know. I feel like somebody would have said something. You know, who like even a little kid, like they see the wanted poster anywhere, and they're like, "Hey, mommy!" Like pulling at the shirt, like,
I guess.
"Hey, there's this guy."
Unless they were scared to say
Yeah,
something.
that's true.
I don't know.
That's
I'd
true,
be
too.
scared.
And he puts
Yeah.
his sunglasses on like he's Maverick from Top Gun or something. He's just like, all right.
They won't notice me in my sunglasses.
He's like, all right, they got me, but I'm not going to say anything. The shades will distract them. It's fine.
I'm gonna pull away in my fighter jet. Hang
He's like,
on.
actually, I actually stole these, believe it or not.
Yeah, put this on top of all the other crimes I've committed.
Yeah, right. Maybe his next name would be Maverick. You know, like changing his name.
Yeah,
He's
oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm an aircraft pilot now.
And I wear ratings.
I wear.
Oh God, this guy, he's something. All right, so the same day James was put under arrest, Chicago detectives flew out of O'Hare Airport to New York to question Lewis about the extortion and the Tylenol murders. When they found Lewis and questioned him, he said his only intent with sending that letter was to draw attention to McCahey so that his bounced checks would be discovered by the authorities, which we already knew.
Again, $500. All
Yeah, this is a lot for $500. This is extra.
I mean, it'd be worth more now. I don't know exactly
yeah,
how much,
still,
but
but yeah.
1 week's a paycheck, like for all this for 1 week's a paycheck, like it sucks, but like you'll bounce back, buddy. Like
yeah.
And they were collecting the $500
Right, and all the
illegally
credit
anyway. It wasn't even her
and
real
all the
name.
credit card fraud too.
Yeah.
From
I'm sorry, the $500 wasn't even
Yeah.
legitimately theirs to begin with.
Like obviously you can just go and fraud somewhere else $500. So maybe you can like go set up another fake mailbox somewhere and get $500. I don't know. It's
This
just like,
guy's reckless,
It just seems like
guys.
a lot for $500.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like that's not adding up.
yeah, I think he held on to like everything in his life. He just loved holding grudges. That was his way of just getting through the day. Was carrying grudges, I think.
Sure sounds like it.
Yeah, like with everything he's done, it had to have been. But anyways, so after authorities were done questioning him when they went to New York, they had nothing to connect James to the Tylenol murders. So they resorted to the extortion letter to Johnson & Johnson and charged him with attempted extortion. Leanne surrendered herself to authorities the next day for misusing a Social Security card to get a job while living in Chicago. After authorities were done interrogating Leanne, she was released on New Year's Eve, since their time doing so proved to also be a waste of their time. So they
just,
questioned
like-
both of them separately. They're not getting anything out of them.
Just giving up again.
Yeah, so they couldn't charge them with anything. They're free again to walk off,
I don't get it. Why are they so lenient?
It's like he had a horseshoe shoved
Yeah.
up his ass his entire life because he gets away with something else, too. It's like, I don't understand how this guy...
You would think the police
so lucky.
would look at his background and be like, okay, this is like the 6th time you've been here on similar charges. Like, you think they
Yeah,
would
it can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, you
or
would think they would
something.
finally take action. Like, usually, okay, like drunken driving, obviously this is a different story, but like in Wisconsin, it's like, you get like 2 tries now and like they throw you in jail. Like, they don't play
Yeah.
around with it. Like, you would think
got a
after,
lot
like,
of chances
after
in
so
life. A
many
lot.
times getting arrested, like they would finally just put him behind bars. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. This one really like bamboozled me. Back to the case. When the Tylenol task force dove into James Lewis's past, they discovered that James and Leanne had a child together. It also came, yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
It also came to their attention that the Lewises had wanted to sue a hospital in Kansas City after the death of their 5-year-old daughter.
Oh, that's horrible.
Her name was Tony Ann. She had Down syndrome and a heart condition.
That's sad. That's.
I know, it's very heartbreaking.
I'll give them some like sympathy for that. That's horrible.
Yeah.
No one deserves to go through that.
No, I agree, but... All right. But there were reports that the Lewises associated her death with hospital medications that were manufactured by Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, so now there's a motive.
So now there's a motive, yeah.
Right. So, which we know are the makers of Tylenol, obviously. Mm-hmm. So now investigators had reason to believe that the family was still holding a grudge because of their child's death.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Well,
right.
At least there's...
Plus, like, the death of a child, that can totally mess with their minds. They might not have actually did something this serious, but the death of their child, like, warped their...
Well, look at Grandma Mary, all the demons she's battling. Because...
and then my Aunt Sue and Uncle Kenny, like that,
I mean, we're firsthand witnesses. Like, it, like...
It does change someone. People.
Yeah, it does. It's so unfortunate and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
After 1 year, so almost 1 year later, James's trial began, and the defense claimed he didn't actually aim to get any compensation from Johnson & Johnson, and therefore wasn't guilty. But lead prosecutor and United States Attorney Dan Webb wasn't going to let Lewis get away with anything.
Well, okay, now... Shouldn't they have been saying that before? Like, we're not going to let him get away
why
with
all
anything,
of a sudden now?
But now, maybe because they have a motive now. Maybe, but still.
Right. Hang on, I lost my place, guys. I'm so sorry. I really hope we can cut this out.
Nah.
ASMR.
Okay, so
is that our next thing? ASMR.
Hey, for $50, man.
The jury took only a few hours to find 37-year-old James guilty of attempted extortion, and he faced a total of 20 years behind bars after sentencing. In November 1983, one of the investigators from James's case, Jeremy Margolis, received a call from inmate James Lewis stating he'd like to solve the Chicago Tylenol murders case by helping detectives.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to clear his own name. That's all he's cared about.
Right. It may seem odd that a criminal would want to help police solve a crime, but it wasn't entirely out of left field. Serial killers Edmund Kemper and Ted Bundy also worked with the FBI to, quotes, hunt down the murderers too, end quote.
Yeah, I don't think there was any question with them. Yeah. They were also sociopaths too, so.
Yeah. As most serial killers are. Yeah. Criminal behaviorist Brianna Fox said a prisoner's motivation is far from altruistic. They just want to feel important and powerful. Perhaps it was another way for James to get the validation he craved. He could pretend to be smarter than the cops, tease them, and lead them on, revealing just enough info so that he didn't implicate himself.
So he could make this into a bigger game, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's more fun for him.
Yeah.
However, Margolis saw this as an opportunity to get James to confess to any, if not all, of the crimes. During their interview, James gave specific theories about how the poisoner may have transferred the cyanide and even drew diagrams. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So he had
claims he doesn't know anything.
Exactly. Like, you have these very thought out diagrams.
He's just like, diagrams.
He's like, well, if this was me, here's what I do. It's not me, but here's what I do if it was.
Diagrams, pie charts, graphs. Just naming off random shit.
Statistics.
He actually pictures though.
Mathematic equations.
Psychological mutilation. The Pythagorean theorem. There's a goodie one. You probably haven't heard that in a while.
Oh, goodness. When Margolis asked him why the mass murderer would commit these crimes, James glared and said, "I think he was righting a wrong."
That's interesting.
That was the same reasoning why authorities thought James wrote the letter.
Writing
Revenge.
wrong.
Yeah.
What do you mean by writing wrong?
Like when someone does you dirty, you're going to get back at them.
Yeah, try to get even.
Yeah, that's what that means. So James Lewis was released from the Federal Correctional Institution in Oklahoma on Friday, October 13th, 1995.
Oh, Mitch was a year old.
For good behavior. He only ended up serving a little over 12 years, not the full 20.
That's unfortunate.
Did it say, why did he get out early? Did it say?
Good behavior.
Oh my God. Okay, so he made some Girl Scouts some cookies.
Again, that horseshoe was wedged up there.
Yeah, got real good at making license plates. You know.
He's got a 5-star review on Yelp. That's ridiculous. I can't believe how many good things happened to this guy.
There's another one right now. So in 2000,
so it doesn't end there. Great.
It does not end there.
He wins the lottery, everyone.
Might as well have for this one because this one
he basically did. Yeah.
Sucks. In 2004, James was charged with rape and kidnapping for an alleged
God.
attack on a woman in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Is it Cambridge or Cambridge?
Yeah, Cambridge. Yeah.
Cambridge, Massachusetts. He was put in jail for 3 years while awaiting trial, but the prosecutors dismissed the charges the day of his trial when the victim refused to testify.
Well, that's not fishy.
And the day of, too.
The day of.
Yeah, that's not fishy at all. Jeez,
Yes.
So she never got justice for what was done to her.
Yeah, of course not.
Exactly. Like I said, this guy got away with so
He must have
much.
got angry because that.
So
well,
No, this
I-
guy
yeah.
sold his soul. I'm convinced. This guy sold his soul.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, who else gets away with
Everything.
back
Murder,
crimes?
Yeah.
Assault.
Yeah.
Theft. Burglary.
Yeah, pretty much like a whole
Everything that could have
plethora of
happened,
it.
he did.
Yeah.
And
Every crime.
And all he had to do was serve 12 years. That's it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and there's multiple victims, too. It wasn't just like he did this once, learned his lesson, and never did
Right.
it again. I mean...
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
I guess like fraud to be like, okay, you committed fraud, like whatever. Like, it's not a great thing to do, but like, okay, he got
It's
off.
certainly not the worst thing, yeah.
like okay, no, whatever, big
But
deal.
if those
like,
murders
and
hadn't
fucking-
happened prior to it,
and rape
okay,
now,
whatever.
it's like,
But they
okay,
did, and
yeah.
that's that's not okay. James Lewis was found dead in his home on July 9th, 2023, at the age of 76 from a blood clot in his lungs. If what the police suspect is true, then the truth possibly died with him. Even though authorities believe James Lewis to be the Tylenol murderer, they never found any evidence to tie him to the crimes. In 2010, he was forced to submit DNA to investigators, but nothing came of it. To this day, FBI considers this case an open investigation.
Yeah, I'd say.
All right, now let's talk about this one. Conspiracy theories, our thoughts and opinions. Let's lay it all out there.
Government and aliens.
Okay, elaborate. I do have
I was
two.
gonna say, no, wait a second. Now, this is a great theory. Now, where in the world do
Bermuda-
aliens just come into this?
Bermuda Triangle.
I mean, if they abducted him, probed him,
no, I don't think aliens had anything to do with this, but I do believe that the FDA had something to do with the Johnson & Johnson with Tylenol. I really do. That's just my...
I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
So, I have a feeling that the government, or per se, military, had gone to Johnson & Johnson and asked them to create some type of weapon of war dealing with chemicals. Chemicals were very big in World War One. And who's to say they don't want to go back to that somehow or find a different way to produce something on a mass effect. So what I think Johnson & Johnson said, yes, we can do that because you can't really say no to the government, just saying. And
true.
they were like, okay, so what's a good factor that we can use? Cyanide, right? That's
Exactly.
Yeah,
yeah.
cyanide. Okay, so Johnson
Excuse
&
me.
Johnson tries to start produce something with cyanide, and something happens where the cyanide gets mixed into the normal batch of, Tylenol, and it got put out there, and they found out about it, and then the FDA and the government were like, oh shit, we can't let the general public know that we went to Johnson & Johnson and asked them to create a weapon of war, so we're just going to find some random dude that has a history and pinpoint it on him. I think that's what happened, because the government did not want the general masses knowing that they're going to pharmaceutical companies to ask them to create weapons of war.
But why let everybody think it's him, too?
Because it's easier to let everyone
so he
think
just took the fall for it, basically.
He just took they just chose a dude that has a past and just like...
So do you think he got something out of it? Like, do you think he was paid off?
Oh, hell no, they don't care about that. Government don't care about paying you off. I don't think.
So what you're saying is this is all being used in a future court case when you go missing because you figured this out.
Well, I mean...
So if you go missing, we're replaying this because we know what happened.
I don't live in the Midwest. I live in Texas.
We're in Canada.
We're in Canada, right? And because the thing too, it's like they knew where he was all the time, but they could never find him. It was like they were just giving him one step forward to confuse the public that they're on his tail, but we can't find him. It's like how many places?
So they knew where he was the whole time.
Yeah, I feel
they were like three steps
I feel
ahead.
Yeah,
honestly.
I feel like they knew where he was the entire time. I mean, how do you get off with so many cases?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think the government knows where any of us are at any given time.
Yeah.
If they truly wanted to find you, they would.
Oh yeah, that's
There's no doubt about it.
I mean, granted, the technology is a lot better now than it is in the 80s, but like so they say that the military are like just like stupid number of years ahead in technology than,
for sure, yeah.
than the normal public think they are.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure,
they have
yeah.
stuff that's 50, 60 years out in advance that we have no idea even exists, but they have it created. It's just like I don't believe that they couldn't find this guy. I don't believe they couldn't pinpoint it. And then the pulley too, like that goes missing.
Yeah, that was super
key
fishy to me.
Part to the case of convicting him just mysteriously goes missing, but they knew where it went, but they couldn't find it once it got there.
So why don't you think they wouldn't just let him take the fall? Then why wouldn't they like pursue him to be guilty for sure?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, and there was there was some reports too where they said that when that pulley was turned into evidence, there wasn't a fingerprint on it. Like, but I don't know.
So they think they planted it.
They think they planted it. But also, I said to Drew too, and I should have kept recording last week. You weren't here either. It was just to Drew, and I said, why didn't they take pictures of this photo, of this fingerprint? Why is it just on the pulley? Why wouldn't they take pictures of this and then compare it to the one on the letter?
Yeah.
Perfect. Both on paper.
I feel like that would have made too much sense then.
It's like that's what's fishy to me too, because they had cameras back then.
But they
it's like we're in 1940 or something.
Yeah. And it's just like years later they finally convict him of like, what was it, fraud, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is like the least of the crimes.
Yeah, which is the least of the crime.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that makes me think like, okay, well, we're gonna pin him with fraud, so at least the public like thinks he's going to prison for a while. Like we're gonna pin him on something that he actually did, but we're not gonna pin him on the biggest crime. So like the public thinks that we actually did something about it, but in reality we didn't do anything about it.
So to go with your theory, do you think Leanne was just kind of like, what, just like a pawn here? Like she really didn't know exactly what was going on?
I feel like she was an accessory to it, but
she wasn't as involved
she
as
wasn't
him,
as
I imagine?
involved. No,
okay.
I think like she was
That's
just.
what I think too.
Yeah. Like
she was kind of just like an innocent bystander that got
No.
wrapped up with the wrong.
I think she knew a little bit about it,
but not like the severity.
No,
of
I think
it.
like the fraud, she had an idea of what was going on. Yeah, she participated, but everything else, I think it was just like she was just there. She didn't really get involved with it. Like she was on the run with them, but
to
like
go Tuesday night, do a little bit of fraud,
yeah,
play a little Monopoly.
I just don't believe that they couldn't find him. Like
yeah,
there had to been a motive behind it, and I just feel because like of course. The military is going to go, like they do this all the time. They go, look at the Manhattan Project. They took just scientists and people from like, I don't know what college it was, but to build a nuke. And they called it the Manhattan Project so that all, the X's thought it was being built in Manhattan, but it was in the middle of the desert in fucking Nevada. Like they do stuff like this on purpose. Mm-hmm. This isn't the first case, and it won't be the last case, in my opinion. Of like them secretly trying to invent stuff and create stuff. It's just they fucked up and they needed to blame it on someone. And who's
they're just covering their tracks and
they're
letting
just
him just
because like who's gonna question the government? Like you start questioning the government, you disappear.
Yeah, and
so
I actually
I'm gonna stop talking because I don't want it to disappear.
Like I said,
like I don't want to go to work.
In a court case, I'm just
I don't
want
to go to work tomorrow, but I also don't want to be in the hands of the government. Like,
I mean, yeah, basically already
become their their next
America,
testing
folks.
suspect or whatever.
So that's my theory. I don't know.
It's kind of hard to top that.
Yeah, sorry.
It is like these other two. I'm like, no, like Drew's theory is like the most. I don't know. Like I believe that over
sense.
these
yeah,
two.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, but we can dive into the two conspiracy theories I have whenever you're ready. Do you have any other thoughts you want to share?
Not right
but
now.
Not end our lives over these thoughts.
Yeah. Ariel, do you have any?
No, I will say I didn't really think about it in the way that you explained it, but I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So how you feel about it? I just don't get what they would get out of it by not pinning it on him. Because it takes everything off of them then. If he takes the fall for it, no one would really question it. But I just don't get why they only pinned him with the least worrisome.
I don't know. Yeah,
that's the one thing that doesn't make sense.
But the rest that's the only hole in my theory. It's like
the rest makes sense. But
why wouldn't they?
What did they get out of it?
Right, and it's still unsolved today. And they're working on his DNA in a lab. The DNA testing is so far advanced. Mm-hmm. Are you telling me none of his family members or anything?
Yeah, they can't link it to someone else in the family.
Just well, we could ask someone else in his family about DNA, but I don't know. It's 10 minutes to lunch, and I really don't feel like reaching out to anyone.
Or even his daughter. Can you get anything off her? Can you get anything?
Is she still alive?
No, she passed away at 5, but can you get anything off of that?
No, I meant
Bone.
Leanne. Is Leanne
It's just
still
I would
alive?
hate to,
Oh, his
disrupt
wife?
the
Yeah, she's
peace.
still
Yes.
alive. He died in 2023. Is she still alive?
Yeah, but they're not going to get DNA off her for his DNA.
Right.
Yes.
That's what I was just going to say, but yeah, like, can you get anything off of her? I mean, I do believe in letting the rest lie, though. So.
Yeah, that's true.
But he has no.
But must have living family.
He's got to have like a
descendants or something.
yeah, some type of.
Well, and
cousins
that's the
or-
thing. I don't know if they don't have records because remember, he was adopted.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, that's right.
So he could have other biological siblings that he may not even know of. So if they run the DNA,
Right.
perhaps one of his biological brothers or sisters is
So
in
it's
the
like,
system.
do they not know who his family even is? I don't know if they had records like
Plus,
that
with
back
his
then.
name
Oh,
changed.
yeah, they had records back then.
Plus with
records.
his name
Okay,
changed.
so
Way
then
Well, but the
back.
government could have gotten rid of that.
Yeah, that's
if we're
true.
going back
Yeah,
to your
that's-
theory, they
that's-
could have
that's
dumped
true.
all his records.
That's true.
But yeah, I guess like you said, the only hole is like, why wouldn't they just pin everything on him?
Yeah, right.
Just let it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only fault in my story.
Yeah. Because I feel like they would have just let him take the fall. if
Yeah, right. Because
that
it gets
was
them
the
off
case.
their back. Is what
Yeah.
I would think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise, it leaves like a big what if, and then lets you think of these.
Yeah, I just can't.
Theories.
It just doesn't make any sense why it's not solved. Like forensic,
I know.
it's just like
just,
it's so,
it irks me
like,
so much.
so
My
far in
brain.
advance that like they just can't pin it on anyone. Like that doesn't make
And
any
his
sense.
story doesn't even add up. Like if you
No.
re-listen to everything that he said, it doesn't make any sense. He's doing this to get revenge on someone. What?
Yeah, well,
It
I
doesn't
mean,
make any sense.
the death of his daughter that would make sense.
Of course.
But
Yes.
Yes. But then he kills other innocent children.
yeah, that would make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay,
I
so,
would go after perhaps whatever happened. Why wouldn't he go after the people that helped deliver his daughter or someone in the medical field? He killed an
Yeah,
innocent
that's
child.
true. Yeah.
I don't understand.
Right.
He like attacked innocent bystanders. If he would have attacked someone that may have directly was involved in his daughter's death, that would make
that
more
would make
sense,
sense.
to me.
Yeah.
But just attacking random people, that doesn't add up.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
if our son died, the last thing I would do would want to kill more children.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because you don't know who those pills are going to kill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
So
don't know what
you'd
age they're
think he
going to
would
be, what
target
race they're going to be.
who they
or-
would be taking the pills.
Yeah,
to.
that's true.
I don't know. That's the one thing I
That's
was
true.
thinking.
Why would you like? Yeah, that makes no sense.
Because what does he get out of it? It's not getting even with anybody. If you want
It's
to get
not-
even
yeah.
about who killed your child or what killed your child, go after,
Yeah.
you know.
It's not Tylenol's fault that the nurse overdosed your child on Tylenol,
I think it was like something they put in her, maybe to
like an IV.
No, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was medications. At the end of the day, it was the medications that they had the same manufacturer, whatever medication she was getting in the hospital.
You just think he would go after the one administrating
Yeah,
the drugs, like
instead
the
of
nurse, the doctor.
yeah.
Right. And then
Yeah.
like they had somebody speaking too, and they said that her death had nothing to do with Johnson and Johnson, nothing to do with
Yeah, they
anything that was done at the hospital. Like
So it was ruled out.
it was
They
the
didn't
coroner,
determine
yeah.
that it was
The
Tylenol.
right. The
that-
coroner
yeah.
said there was no way anything they did at the hospital had anything to
So
do
he
with her
did
death.
all this for absolutely nothing. So we
If
can't
that's the case.
If that's the case, yeah. So we can't even really use his daughter's death as like
Yeah,
fuel
that's
to the
true.
fire if
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know. It's just this wild.
I know it really leaves you thinking, like, what happened here?
And why?
Yeah, and why isn't it solved? My geez, Louise, like why?
With how
I
far
just
everything's
can't-
come, yeah.
I cannot
Yeah.
wrap my head around why it's not solved.
buy a 23andMe kit on Amazon and swab that
Yeah,
shit. for
everybody,
fuck's
let's
sake.
just all do it, like all collectively. Maybe we're related to this guy. Who knows?
I hope we're
Oh,
not
God.
related to this.
Me too,
dude.
but just everybody just do it. But now you ready to dive into the other two conspiracy theories?
Let's
all
go.
right.
Yes, I'm kind of curious.
They're not as good as yours. I will say that.
Yours takes like the cake here.
All right, conspiracy theory number 1 is Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. The Unabomber did it. I'm having a hard time pronunciating.
Well, you said unibrow. I was like, what?
the unibrow.
The Unabomber.
Wait, guy with unibrow was killing guys.
From 1978 to 1995, Ted Kaczynski was mailing out sophisticated explosives to computer stores, schools, and offices. It was usually a homemade bomb that would detonate when they opened the package. Reason behind this one was because in his manifesto, he stated that modern life had made people depressed and, quotes, gave them drugs to take away their happiness.
Okay.
That was the end of
I can
that
see
one.
how it kind of correlates, but
Yeah,
it's a little too broad. for
Yeah,
my
that's what
liking.
I'm like. I don't think this is it.
I
No.
don't.
I don't think this is the
he-
winner.
no. It's like you
No.
go from like
It's like saying apples
like,
and oranges. Like, yeah, great, they're both
Yeah.
fruits, but
Like,
that's about it.
You go from IEDs to like tapping into drugs. I
Yeah.
feel like IEDs are more like more, that cause more harm than just, well, I guess if you look at it, like, if maybe it was like a trial and he did like tap into a huge amount of Tylenol, like you could kill more people. But I just feel like once you go IED, you kind of stay with IEDs.
Yeah, I feel like tampering with medication and drugs and stuff is completely different than building a bomb.
Yeah.
It's just completely different. I don't even know how it would even correlate and how you jump from one to the other.
Yeah, I don't think you would switch
it's not
like that.
Yeah.
You futzing with drugs is like the gateway to the ultimate criminal or something. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't
see that one.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Yeah, this one I was like, I don't
it's
see
interesting,
it.
of course, to think about, but I mean, yeah.
I think like he was more established of a person that kills people, that I think he would have done more mass of death.
Yeah.
Than just in the Chicagoland area.
And then he's
Well,
hiding
how
behind
many
the
did the
sidelines,
Unabomber do? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
And it may have stated this. I just tried to, summarize it as best as I could.
I feel like he was more or less able to be proud of what he did, I guess. Like, he knew who was getting it. He could watch from the sidelines, whereas, like,
Yeah,
the
that's true.
messing with the drug thing, you put in all these different stores. You have no clue who's going in, whereas the bombing thing was targeted.
Right, because you needed an
It was
address.
going to the house.
That's true. Yeah,
right.
that
So it's
makes
just like,
sense.
that's interesting.
All right, so that brings us to conspiracy theory number 2. The tainted pills came straight from the factory of Johnson & Johnson. Kind of goes into yours, but not related to the government. All right, so originally some officials determined that the pills couldn't be tainted in the factory because cyanide is incredibly corrosive. The chemical can eat through just about anything, and the gelatin capsule wouldn't last long if they'd been tainted more than a day or two before the poisoning.
That makes sense.
But in 1986, a copycat of the Tylenol murders arose, and more people had been found dead. The medical examiner from one of the losses had tested the capsules and found the cyanide could have been planted up to 10 days before the victim even swallowed it. So they do have 10 days there where they can...
Yeah, but I think it's going to be more than 10 days if it goes from factory to shelves. Because look at older...
Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's
true.
true.
A truck and how... Yeah, I guess...
I'm sure it sits in the factory
Yeah,
for a
unless
couple
they
days.
stamp
and
that, like,
Or
immediate, or
it could
I don't
sit
know.
in like a Target and Walmart have their back shelves.
I was
going
going
to
to say overstock.
Their
overstock could be
back
sitting there
stock.
for months.
Could be sitting on a truck waiting for it to go somewhere if there's a
Yeah.
delay or something. I mean, how would they know that this shipment is guaranteed to get somewhere?
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that. So my theory kind of is dwindling away.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what do you guys think? Like, who do you think did it? Like, I feel like it has to be Lewis.
That's the only
Like,
thing that makes
nothing
sense.
else is making sense.
Yeah,
like,
no.
it's not...
Yeah.
It all points back to him in some way or another.
And I don't think it's a coincidence.
No.
And I think these families deserve to know what happened to their relatives.
Yeah, of course.
And they're all getting older, like we discussed in previous episode. Like, they're all getting older, and they deserve to know.
I don't know if you guys believe in this like psychic stuff. It would be interesting if like,
Oh,
perhaps,
yeah.
like a psychic would try to communicate with him, like the spirit of him, to see if he would admit to doing something. I mean, I don't know.
Hey,
It's probably
you're
not
onto
reliable,
something.
but
Have
I
you
don't
seen,
know.
okay? So have you seen those videos where I don't know the creator or what his name is? Like, not like shout out to you for doing it, and I'm sorry that I don't know who you are, but I've seen videos where he contacts people through, I think it's like an old time stereo, or maybe it's like an actual device you use. It looks like an old time stereo, like with the knobs and stuff. And he's like contacted like famous people that have died, and then like serial killers that have died, and it's like he's not having a full on conversation. It's just like certain
Like bits
words.
and pieces?
It's like bits and pieces. It's like keywords you have to pick up on. But I think like he did one with like Ted Bundy, and then like there was a couple other ones, and it was just like hatred. Like the person, well, if it is the actual spirit, I don't know, was just like spewing hatred, like horrible words. So I mean, shout out government, shout out to this dude. Like try to get in contact with him, maybe.
That would be scary.
But like I'm not fucking with that.
It'd be
That shit
interesting
freaks
if
me
he
out.
left something behind. Like, I wish that he would have left, like, if he knew he was going to be dying, if he had a blood clot, maybe he knew about it. Would have been nice if he would have wrote a letter, maybe
Or on his
confessing what he
deathbed.
did. Yeah, or on his deathbed.
Like,
or
said
told
something.
someone.
Because he likes writing letters, obviously.
Or, yeah,
he
that's
could have
just
wrote
it.
another
Like,
one.
or something, maybe something's hidden in the wall of his house or something. I don't know.
That shit's crazy. You start thinking about, yeah, like
I mean, I don't know. It's like maybe he did leave the truth somewhere before he passed. You
I
know,
don't
and
know.
it's only time. You know, only time will tell. But I don't know. It'd be interesting if someone does know something that they're not saying anything.
yeah, right.
That would be crazy.
I mean, imagine hanging on to all that guilt even no matter if you're a bad person or not, he had to have had some sort of guilt or was thinking about something. How would you keep that to yourself for all those years? You didn't tell a single soul. You didn't let a single thing slip. I mean, the guy was smart, but I don't know. I think it had to have slipped up somewhere.
Right.
Or told someone something, or someone's like, actually, he did say something kind of weird. I didn't think of anything of it till now, but
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I feel like someone out there knows a little bit more than what they're leading.
I think so too.
Like,
For sure.
I can't hide anything from you. Like, oh, I forgot to brush my teeth, and she asked me, like, no, I did. I didn't brush my teeth. I'm sorry. No, I can't hide.
Forever 7 years old.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to one last thing. It's not a conspiracy theory, but people put this together, and their thought was that the 270 product tampering incidents that were affecting eye drops, nasal sprays, candy, and many other products throughout the country was inspired by the Tylenol murders. I don't know if you remember all this. But like when we were kids and we went trick-or-treating and our kids had to...
Oh, yeah.
Our parents had to look through all our candy and everything.
Stuff,
Because remember all this stuff that was going on when we were kids? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember from
they
the
had
news.
razor blades.
The razor blades and the candy and shit.
So I'll go into a few of them. There was an instance in Wyoming where a man used Sinex nasal spray that had acid in it. So he suffered from acid burns in his nose. God. Another instance where a man took a bite into his candy bar and a sewing pin stabbed him into the cheek.
That's horrible.
Phencyclidine, also known as PCP or angel dust, was found in the Tootsie Rolls during a school celebration. 6 children needed immediate attention in New Jersey. So like this was all like some of them.
That was a pixie stick, you said?
There was a pixie stick one too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think she said Tootsie Roll. You said Tootsie.
This was
right?
Tootsie Rolls at a school event.
Okay.
But yeah, I did see the
that was a Candyman.
pixie stick. Yeah.
People with
like there was a whole bunch of stuff like this.
What the Candyman the movie is like based off of?
I think
I've never seen it.
But
I've never seen
he replaced pixie sticks with poison. And
what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. He gave it to his son.
Yeah, he gave it to one of his sons.
Dude, you need a fucking hobby.
Watched him throw up and...
That's horrible.
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually mentioned in
his son.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why?
All right.
Why does anybody do
don't get that.
I know.
I don't get that.
I'd love to just like understand the mind of some people that do like these crazy like off the wall, and like nobody would think to do this stuff. Like why? How? What is wired in your brain to make you want to
cut into the brain and see it? Didn't they do that with Dahmer's brain? They like cut it open to see if it was like had abnormalities.
I know there was one of them that was like in a college.
I think that was Dahmer. They sent it to Madison.
Yeah, it was somebody. I don't remember who.
And they cut it open to see if it was like shaped different or.
I'd be interested to see if they saw anything unusual.
I don't know.
The one thing that I don't understand too about going back to your theory, just that I just thought of now, is if they didn't want him to take the fall here and they wanted to leave it up in the air, didn't the idea of copycat killers possibly come into play? Like if they didn't know exactly who it was, they could kind of do their own thing. I don't know.
Or could they tie it to these people?
Yeah, right. So it's like what?
Because if they, are brave enough to do this, maybe they did the first thing.
Oh,
that's true. Yeah, I'm curious to know that too. What came of all these? And did they link together in any way?
Yeah, did they ever look into it? Did they ever find whoever did like all these other cases?
Was there a fan club for this Tylenol guy? And they're like, oh yeah, in order for us to be like him, we need to copy him exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, look at the guy that took Ed Gein's.
Well, some of these people were caught, right? Like obviously the dad of the son.
Oh yeah,
obviously he was caught.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know about any of the others. I mean, it's kind of hard to. I don't know. It'd be hard to figure that out unless there's fingerprints and. The fingerprints are in the system.
It's scary too that people would want to mimic a criminal and like I don't know. It's just freaky to me. Yeah. It's one thing to love true crime, and it's another to make it like it's not just my life. It's going to be my life. Like, I'm
it's
going
to be
act out and
who
be
I
like
am.
Them. Yeah,
my personality. I don't think.
How do you look at these people and worship the ground they walk on?
Well, look
I don't get that.
Look at the serial killers.
I don't either.
Like Ted Bundy and the Menendez brothers were like. The women were falling in love with them madly, knowing what they had done. Especially Ted Bundy, like that dude was fucking like crazy the shit he did. And then you have women that are falling in love with you because they see you on the court case on TV and national TV, and like you have groupies. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, it's not Kiss, it's a dude that killed someone, multiple people, brutally, and you're in love with them. That's like the shock factor. They just like the shock factor, or the fact that it's not normal or some shit.
That's just
I
it.
don't know.
Or there's the people that are like, oh well, he wouldn't do that to me. You know,
Oh,
like we could be
Or
together.
like I can change him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh yeah.
right,
I can,
exactly.
I can save
change
him.
Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't happen to me. Like, I'd be different. I'm not like the other
Oh, you're one of
girls.
those girls where you think you
Yeah.
can save every man.
I'm not like the other
Oh,
girls.
you have 4 different baby daddies. Oh, okay. Odds aren't looking good for you. Okay. Oh, you're going to keep on doing it? Okay. Yeah. Great.
Drew's not like the other girls.
I'm not
No.
like the other
You aren't. I will be the
girls.
first to say it.
Yeah.
You aren't.
Drew's no basic bitch. No.
I'm a different breed. You ever get one of those? I'm different. I'm a different breed. Like,
Yes.
oh, so you're completely basic. Okay.
You are the exact opposite of what you're claiming.
You love
Got
pumpkin
it.
spice and
Okay,
everything
whoa
that's...
now. Whoa now.
Hey,
Let's take a step back.
Drew does too. So
Yeah, maybe you are like the other girls.
I'm a basic white bitch when it comes to fall.
yeah, you're worse than me.
Don't let any of the guys at work know, because I will get made fun of.
They
Edit
listen.
this out.
They listen to you. We are not editing
It's
this
the
out.
basic white bitch. What's going on?
Where's your pumpkin spice
Where's
today?
your pumpkin spice, huh? Oh, I'm just gonna go cry in the bathroom.
All right, guys. Any last thoughts, or we think we got it all out there?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I will leave it at that. That is interesting. It's kind of disappointing though that it is left considered unsolved. It's disappointing.
It's crazy. It's
But
unsolved.
interesting
know.
to see what will come from it. Will it be solved in our lifetime?
I doubt it.
Hey, maybe
Hey.
we gave a lead in this episode. Who knows?
Not to give give spoilers for mine.
Don't say
but
that.
Well, not that exact.
I don't want knocks on our door at 3 a.m. with people breaking through our windows.
No, don't worry. It's just me.
Oh,
No, I was gonna say not to give too many spoilers for mine, but mine case I'm doing upcoming here, it was left unsolved for 50 years.
wow.
It's still unsolved, but they didn't figure out who it was. They found out through DNA testing in like 2020, I think, and this happened in the 60s.
So there
Wow.
is hope.
There is hope.
There is
Definitely.
hope for this one.
And if
then.
someone knows something, please just say something. Even if you have to do it anonymously, just please say something.
Yeah.
Yes.
What you may think is insignificant could change everything.
Yes, I agree with Ariel on this one.
Well, look at Jack the Ripper. They never solved that one, and that one's from the
Did you see
1800s.
Did you see the conspiracy on that? They actually think it might be a woman.
Oh yeah, I heard about. We were just talking about that at the grocery store.
Yeah, we
I was
were.
like,
That's
I was
on
like,
Wild
oh,
Thursday.
it's. They say it's a woman, and Maggie was like, "No way, that doesn't make any sense." I'm like, "Well, in the 1800s in London, it was very religious, and he was killing prostitutes, and I could see like,
There's totally motive for it to be a
yeah,
woman,
and
for
like
sure.
a woman getting mad because she found out her husband's cheating on her, and she's like, prostitutes are for the
And maybe
devil,
she-
and
and
like,
Women are smart. She's probably like, oh yeah, they're not going to think it was a woman,
yeah,
so it's perfect.
oh yeah, that's
I mean,
a whole. That is,
Yeah.
that's like a 3-parter.
that's one we should consider doing too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. All right, guys, we've made it to the end. That was a long one. Next week, we've got Drew taking the mic, so I'm very excited to sit back next episode and hear what he's got coming our way. Have a lovely week, ghoulies. Bye.
Toodles.
Peace.